Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you. I'm Julia Landauer. And the most common question I've gotten since I started racing cars when I was 13 is, what's it like to be a woman race car driver? Or a similar question, why would you choose such a male-dominated sport? And my answer is always, why not? Racing is so cool because it's one of the only sports where men and women can actually compete head-to-head with each other. And it is still a sport, and it's just not based on brute strength. If you can think about it as muscling around 3,400 pounds of machine, fighting the G-forces, doing this for hours on end. NASCAR just set a record that it was at 160 degrees inside the car during one of the races this summer. Really hot, and we're racing against other drivers who are just as anxious to win as we are. So it is a sport, and if biology isn't preventing women from competing with men, then there are clearly social and cultural norms that are not only holding us back from getting involved, but from thriving. And this falls under what I like to call the niceness umbrella, because after early childhood, it is much more regularly emphasized for girls to be nice than it is for boys to be nice. But the issue is that niceness loses races. Now, I'm not saying you should be mean, right? That's not the goal. But niceness alone is a very passive trait, and that will not be enough to let anyone be successful. And there are many stereotypes that I've faced in racing, but there are three main ones that I've learned very difficultly and want to share with you today. And the first one is that women aren't aggressive, but also that if a woman is aggressive, it's really a bad thing. And this photo was taken when I was 14 years old. It was our first national go-kart race of the season. I was super excited. I was really fast in practice, really fast in qualifying. And then the first day of races, I kind of teetered off and the other guys got faster. Well, that next morning, my alarm didn't go off yet, but I heard my dad walk into my hotel room, so I knew something was up. So he walked up to me and he said, "Julia, get out of bed." And he grabbed me by the shoulders and screamed, "You need to rip their livers out! These boys got beat by a girl the other day. They're angry. You need to be just as angry." And I realized that he was basically giving me the permission to obliterate the competition in a way that I had never heard from school, society, teachers, anyone. And that was very liberating. And we podiumed on the 3 races that next day, so it worked too. Thank you. The second assumption about women that's harmful is that it's acceptable to take the victim role, or that it's expected that women will take the victim role. This photo was taken when I was 11 years old, and this was at our local go-kart track, and I was having a bad day, didn't practice very quickly, didn't qualify quickly, and so before the race, I went up to my parents and I asked them to make some changes to the go-kart. They made the changes, I go out for the race, still didn't do very well, started falling back, was getting very frustrated, so I was overdriving the go-kart and going slowly, and I finished the race somewhere near the end, and I was the most pissed off 11-year-old you will ever see. I threw my helmet into the go-kart and I stomped up to my dad and I said, "You messed up the go-kart, it would have been better if you hadn't made the change." And then I saw this icy glare in his eyes, and he walked up really close and said, "Fuck you." You told me to make the change to the go-kart, and I did. And even if it's not what you wanted, it's your responsibility to make the most of it when you're out on the track. Sorry. And it was very true. Another very important lesson. The third stereotype against women that I find most personally offensive is that women are fragile, because we are far too frequently portrayed as emotionally and physically fragile. And we're not. And this is a little bit of a joke, but one of the problems I've had in racing is when my team owners or my crew chief, aren't comfortable giving me critical feedback. As a racing team, my improvement and my quick improvement is crucial. And this year has been one of the first years where my team owner is not afraid of hurting my feelings. And that is so powerful, because in our first race, I was really fast, but I was in second place. I could not get by the first place guy. And normally it's just me and my crew chief talking on the radio, but my team owner grabs a headset in the middle of the race and starts yelling at me, "Julia, you're making the passes too soon. You need to wait until you're right up against him." And I passed him, and we won the race, and now we're leading the championship. And it is so great to feel like I'm just one of the other racers that he has worked with. And that's also very empowering as a team. It's very uncomfortable to have to fight against all this. But if we want our daughters, our mothers, our friends, our girlfriends, wives, anyone to really thrive and be successful, we have to be comfortable breaking the rules. And it's going to be an active fight, but it's so worthwhile. And back to the original question of what's it like to be a woman race car driver, it's awesome. No matter what kind of driver you are, when you are a driver who's in the zone and you're hearing the roar of the engine and you're operating on a subconscious level with the car and the racetrack, it's intoxicating. It's well known within racing that when you master a corner and you get within an inch of the wall as you're exiting the turn, it's better than sex. And it is so satisfying to do something exceptionally well that people don't give you the credit of being able to do at all. I'd like to leave you with my favorite quote, which is one that I've lived by for years, and it says, "If it's both terrifying and amazing, you should definitely pursue it." Thank you very much. Thank you.